Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mainstream Dissident. My name is Adam, and I'll be your host. Guys, remember, if you like what you hear today, go ahead and click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys are my audio only listeners, go ahead and leave me a 5-star review wherever you can. It really does help. If you guys want to reach out to me directly, get a hold of me on X. This is actually how I met my guest today, Dan Bauer, better known as at Dan Bauer Music on X. And without further ado, let's go ahead and give him an intro. Dan, what do you want the audience to know, brother?
Well, firstly, that they can find me at Dan Bauer Music 1 on X. So only that, but it's all good. But yeah, my name's Dan Bauer. I'm a singer-songwriter, multi-instrumental musician, producer kind of guy. I've been making music for a while, but the most recent album I put out involved a lot more dissident, sort of political songs. I made a music video in 2023 about the faulty World War II narrative that got a little bit of attention in the early part of 2024. Mid 2024, I put out a music video that actually Adam found me through, which the Culture War music video. We'll talk about that. And then more recently, I dropped the album and then made another music video. I do that, and then a few times a month, I drop a podcast of my own, sort of a news and opinion type thing, the Dan Bauer Power Hour, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and I like how during that or at least for the titles there, the Dan Bauer Power Hour, you spell everything like Bauer, and it's
Yeah.
it's pretty comical, pretty comical. But we will get into more of your content later. And guys, just so you're aware, I'm gonna link everything of Dan's down in the description of the video. We'll be all set there. If you guys want to check him out and support his work, you can find him down below. Now, let's talk about the big thing recently, guys. We're not living under a rock here. We know that Charlie Kirk was recently assassinated. Dan, he did make, and I do believe it was one of the Dan Bauer Power Hours, correct, about Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So you guys will want to check that out too when you go sub to his YouTube channel. But let me just ask you off the cuff here. Do you believe the FBI narrative?
100%. No, no.
Okay, we're
Yeah,
done here.
for
Close it.
sure.
We're
Yeah.
good. We got the video.
I listen to Cash Patel. I listen to his not suspicious girlfriend. I listen to the fully transparent FBI. I listen to whatever they tell me. I don't care what type of weird oddities about changing his outfit in the middle of this thing occurred. I don't care about any of that. I just believe fully what the authorities tell me, and that's the end of that. Thank you very much, or something different. But no, honestly, if you're asking my opinion in all sincerity, I'm sort of oscillating between a couple opinions. I think it either could be a crazed lefty maniac or an intelligence agency.
Yeah, yeah,
I think we know which one, but one of the two.
yeah, yeah. And I'm right there with you. Where I'm at right now, could I totally believe in this day and age in 2025 that some whack job went out there and he climbed up on a roof and he shot Charlie and that's the end of the story? Could I believe that? Most definitely I could. But with this internet age, this technology that we have at our fingertips that is recording every second of our lives, whether we have the camera on or not,
Hmm.
it would be hard to believe the exact narrative with all of this evidence coming out. If you guys do want to see some great synopsis on that, one of my good friends, Zeb Boykin, he is blowing up on X. You can go check his stuff out. I'll link him below Dan's stuff as well so you guys can get a higher overview than just, peons like Mr. Dan Bauer and I can give you today.
True.
But dude, did you hear about Pam Bondi calling for hate speech laws, dude?
I did, and this is why I say I think it's one of the two. And if it's not the intelligence agency that was actually like the shooter, planner, orchestrator of this thing, then I think certainly factions who support them or our greatest ally, this type of thing, they are absolutely reveling in this opportunity that has presented itself, which is to say, and maybe not just our greatest ally, of course, our own FBI and other three-letter agencies, but they're really, the Pam Bondis of the world are really pouncing on this opportunity to, it appears, go full bore with the whole put people on lists for their distasteful speech, get them fired, put them in the database, that type of thing. And what Pam Bondi is saying appears to just run in concert with that, right? That kind of vibe of the right wanting to say, well, let's get retribution. These people are making fun of Charlie, and if you think, losing a job hurts, imagine losing your life. So what's the? It's not that bad that these people are getting fired. But even though I find their mockery disgusting and all that, I personally don't like the precedent that sets, and what Pam Bondi is doing about the whole hate speech. That term is just insane to begin with, and it's crazy that someone in her stature is just openly spouting on about it and appears to be on the verge of either accepting or being jostled into accepting legislation in the hate speech quote unquote domain. So concerning.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. And just for my viewers who aren't chronically online like Dan and I, here is what she
Chill.
posted on X. Yeah, right. What she posted on X. This was on September 16th. This episode's being recorded on the 17th. So she said, hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. This era is over. And then she just rattles off a little bit more here and really leans into it. She says free speech protects ideas, debate, even dissent, but it does not and will never protect violent speech. Now there was a community note. Let's talk about that. The U.S. Constitution protects most violent speech. The Supreme Court ruled it illegal to justify or celebrate violence or advocate or teach duty, necessity or propriety of, but not to incite violence. Okay, so she ends off with hold on. Free speech protects ideas, debate, even dissent, but it does not and never will protect violence. So I will just say, dude, that it is a slippery slope once people start calling for hate speech laws. And you guys out there, you MAGA people, you guys might think, well, wait, she just wants to stop the leftists from being terrible people. She wants them to stop having control. Well, what happens in 4 to 8 more years whenever they take power again? Do you think that they're going to use those hate speech laws? Those hate speech is such a loose term. Do you think they're going to use those on the right wing then in turn, or on the American people as a whole? Like, Dan, has that thought ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, for sure. And the thing that I find very ironic, I'm glad that you pulled Pam's tweet up. I think it was like the first opening of her last little paragraph or sentence or whatever was, "We will not be silenced." I'm like, you're literally silencing people. Like you're silencing people. Now, I'm not out here advocating for violence. I'm not saying, yo, let's go to the streets and whatever. Like, I could see how something like that would want to be corralled. But if it's just people out here like opining about things, and then that getting their speech getting corralled into the same pen as people saying, well, I'm gonna go out on X day with Y weapon and shoot like, that is categorically different than some sort of political criticism that can get turned into hate speech. It's when people say like, oh, well, that's your opinion on, um, say Israel or something. Where does, yeah, but what else is really under there? What else are you sweeping under the rug? Like, and they try to kind of catch you before you get to some destination that you may very well not be heading at, or heading
Exactly.
towards. And that sort of pre-crime, preemptive, no, we'll crack down on the speech before we get to the violence. Like, we'll just arrest you for the speech before it turns into violence, with the presupposition that the violence is forthcoming. And it's like, no, it's not. So, like, now, among some people, maybe, and if you make a stated threat that you're going to, then sure, whatever. But, like, the term hate speech is just it's a descriptive of a type of speech. Like,
Yes.
that is also just different than a threat. Like, if you're threatening someone, then okay, well, that's different. But, like, if you're just stating something about someone that the officials or the authorities or whoever's obviously puppeteering the whole society, if they are the determinant of what it means to be hateful, that's a horrible place to be in. You know?
Oh, dude. Oh, dude. I feel you on that 100%. Um, and this reminds me of the UK because they do not have free speech. They do not. There's people over there getting arrested for sharing memes. There's people out there getting arrested for saying the most mundane things. At least we would think so in America. Here is the UN, excuse me, the UN here, their definition of hate speech. In common language, hate speech refers to offensive discourse targeting a group or individual based on inherent characteristics such as race, religion, or gender, and may threaten social peace. So again, they would be determining what's
Yeah.
offensive. Dude,
Yeah.
it gets worse, brother. It gets
Refers to
worse.
offensive, and first of all, offensive discourse. It's discourse. We're talking.
Exactly.
We're talking. We're trying to figure things out. It's called having a conversation. But
Dude,
anyway.
like if you cut someone off in traffic and they drive past you and they go asshole or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to get that guy hung or even in
Yeah.
jail. Like, okay, maybe I should sorry, I shouldn't have ran the red light, my bad. You know,
Yeah.
it's to police this is crazy. Uh
Insane.
the definition goes on to provide a unified framework for the United Nations to address issues globally. The UN strategy and plan of action on hate speech defines hate speech as any kind of communication in speech, writing, or behavior that attacks or uses pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person group on the basis of who they are, in other words, based on religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or another identity factor. Like, dude, that right there, hold on here, that right there is unreal. It is crazy that an American the attorney general would even suggest hate speech laws, even if we're gonna own the libs, Dan. We're gonna own the libs. Is it worth it to own the libs for 3.5 more years?
No. Like, it's not.
No,
And
no.
wait, can you pull? I'm just curious. Can you pull that up real quick? Because I want to
Yeah,
not
yeah.
miss. I want to not misquote that. I want to just read like verbatim what they're saying.
No,
Um,
we'll get it here.
so where it says
I might be able to zoom in as well.
speech, yeah, writing or behavior. Thank you. Oh,
There we
awesome,
go.
perfect. Any kind of communication in speech, writing, or behavior that attacks or uses pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or group on the basis of who they are. In other words, based on their nationality, blah blah blah, things they can't, immutable characteristics, essentially, right? It's just saying that you can't be pejorative or use an attack or be discriminatory in language with reference to a person based on their group's thing. Um, so who's gonna be the first up at the UN military tribunal? The fucking offspring with like pretty fly for a white guy. You know what I mean? Like this type of this like stupidity. Like, my God. Yeah. It like who's gonna be not that I even think he's funny, but like is Dave Chappelle gonna be next? Like, for if he ever made like any sort of like black jokes on the Chappelle show or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
what, like, what are we talking about? This is so stupid. Is Seth MacFarlane going to be in the gulag for the Family Guy jokes about like the Jays, or you know what I mean? Like it's it's uh it's ridiculous. You can go ahead and like say whatever you'd like about like what am I or is Trey Parker and Matt Stone on the chopping block too? Do I have the right to say that because they did the Kick a Ginger episode? You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, they did, dude.
like
You're a protected class now.
I'm part of the NAAGF, the National Association for the Advancement of like Ginger Fucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we need a me and Carrot Top and Roger Goodell, but like we need to I feel like we need to just stop listening to like this like stupidity like that like oh no but we're the UN. All right, I guess, but what you're saying is I don't want to say the R word, but it's retarded.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like no one can communicate in any way that might potentially be seen as discriminatory or attacking someone or whatever for something they can't control. Fucking then go yell at all the I don't know women doing street interviews being like, would you date a guy who's 5'7" or bald or whatever? They're like, oh fuck no. It's like, all right, well they couldn't control that. Like this
Dude,
is
I would get him on hate speech laws. I'm freaking 5'7".
whatever. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Sorry, you know what I
I'm
mean?
pissed.
It's okay. Hey, everyone reading at home. I'm actually 4'10". It's all
Oh
good.
yeah, dude.
Adam's
Let
way
me
taller
sit up
than
in
me.
my chair a little bit here.
Adam benches more than me. He saves cats from trees, but
Thank
but
you, dude. I'm allergic to cats. All right, anyway.
dude, literally same. It's about to be a big issue with the lady. No, I'm just joking. I'm fucking around. I'm totally joking. I
What?
should probably watch this. No, it's not.
You're-
I'll take a Benadryl. It'll be fine. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I think we both recognize how absurd, like trying to enforce any such measures is. And the thing is, the need for such measures only exists in a world that like lies and pretends that like global egalitarianism is like the way to go, and that everybody is just a drag and drop character with slightly different like immutable characteristics, whether that be your height or your skin color or your hair or whatever. Like everyone just thinks this type of document saying like, no, but you can't make fun of X person for Y characteristic, or even just notice that it's a little bit different, or dare I say voice anything dissenting about it, or you're committing hate speech. It's like, what if I was okay? Well, then what if I was like in Canada, and what if I was in Brampton, Ontario, and then I realized that over half the city or population or whatever is now also reading the Hindustan Times or whatever you pulled up earlier, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, hey, what the hell? And like, if I had anything, if I go to the rest stop or the truck stop and they're washing their feet in the bath, I'm not saying all or anything, but like something like that's happening, I'm like, me, the Canadian truck driver, has been doing it for like 25 years, and then all of a sudden I see like this whole influx of millions and kabillions of people that aren't adjusting, and I have the nerve to notice, like, as Kendrick Lamar would say, in a way, they not like us. You know what I mean? Like even just making that observation is like tantamount to some crime. And I'm like, what? Dude, what are you talking about? Like,
It's
this is insane.
It seems
It's
to me
insane.
that it's purely the rejection of reality.
Yeah.
You know, we're living in the real world. We have eyes, we have ears, we understand. You know, we are different. Hey guys, wake up! Just like Dan said, just like I'm saying, we are different. And noticing these differences doesn't mean we want to eradicate people, but it just means that, well, just as Dan touched on, these people aren't assimilating. And I don't know about you, dude, but I'm not willing to wait, let's say 200 years or even a millennia for these other people to catch up, let's say, to how Americans and how white Europeans live. That's just where I'm at on that since we brought it up. But you, dude, you mentioned the Hindustan Times, and I mentioned Charlie Kirk earlier.
Yeah.
The patsy, if you want to call him that, or the assassin, if you guys want to call him that. Remember, guys,
I
that
think he would be the
before-
victim. I don't think he'd be the assassin.
No, not Charlie, not Charlie. Tyler
Oh, okay.
Robinson.
We're sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
sorry.
we're getting
go.
into it. You're all right.
Sorry.
You're all right.
Sorry.
This episode, just before I go any further, it's being recorded on 9/17/2025, just in case more is revealed. about Tyler Robinson, but I will pull up an article here. And it is actually an article from the Hindustan Times. Now, you might think, wow, Adam sure does use the most reliable sources. And you would
Well,
be right. There it
well,
is, the Hindustan Times. It says here that our would-be assassin or alleged assassin Tyler Robinson followed scandalous creator whoever Red Rusker is played Furry's game amid underage links. So, an account reportedly linked to Tyler Robinson arrested for the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk shows he played a dating simulator game, Furry Shades of Gay. That is literally the name, bro. Furry Shades of Gay. And we know that we can trust Hindustan Times because they have our best interest. But if we read the article here, um, details about the online presence of Tyler Robinson, the man charged with the killing of Charlie Kirk, have emerged, including his username and links to the artist accused of drawing this explicit content involving underage characters. If you listen to what's his nuts from PragerU, the head of PragerU, there's a
Dennis
video.
Prager.
Dennis Prager, he comes out and he has advocated, well, they're just drawings. It's not immoral because they're just drawings. He has actually touched on underage
I've heard
explicit
that.
material.
Oh, I've
Did you
heard
see that
that.
clip, dude?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's some foul stuff. But
Little
anyway,
bit,
so
little bit sus. But anyway,
little sussy there, Mr. Prager. Oi, you're a little sus
anyway,
there for the bat mitzvah. What are you doing there? Anyway,
sus.
so Robinson's friends shared with the Daily Mail crafting 24/7. Oh, dude, see that's it. I wonder if he made like macrame crafts. Um, Furry Shades of Gay. That's okay. We don't need to read that. That's kind of nasty. All right. Before my stomach turns here, and before we get bombarded with any more of these ads on this screen, Dan,
Hmm.
um, would you be surprised by this Hindustan Times article?
I'm actually a developer of FSOG, so I'm not surprised at all. No, I'm just. I promise I'm not. Promise I have no affiliation. But yeah, no. Well, that's the thing. I mean, to be honest, I suppose I've looked into many of the different angles of the potential culprits in this case. I haven't maybe been as thorough on the reports that are coming from the angle of it was the lefty, lone gunman Tyler Robinson type thing. Could very well be. But what do I make of the? I'm just going to assume that the diligent reporters of the Hindustan Times are on it like they so often are. They, I think, probably are touching on something legit here. Like, I think there's something a little bit like off with some of these folks. If it ends up that the alleged shooter Tyler Robinson was actually whatever, like if let's just run with it, assume that this was the thing. I
Yeah.
think there is something it would be unsurprising to me if this were true. Like I don't I don't think it should come as much of a surprise. Like, okay, actually, I know someone that always talks about like Brock Lesnar. Like, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I
The
know that
so
guy. Yep.
so you're like, all right, you would be named Brock Lesnar. You have fucking shoulders. You're
Dude, he's
ridiculous. You have the
huge.
tattoo. You hunt deer. You're a fucking animal. You played football. All of it's kind of lining up. Like, so I think the same thing with like this situation. It's like, oh, you like snapped and had this insane revenge thing against some like lukewarm, modest, like conservative type college lecture talking tour guy. You're into furry stuff. Most of your friends are online people. It's all kind of adding up. So that to me would make sense. But again, I don't really know what reporting to trust. I don't know. I'm not. I'm still undecided. It's one of the two, in my opinion. But if it were true that this, lefty with the weird internet slang messages on the casing and stuff, it just seemed like this is someone who probably spends a lot, and I do too. But I still go out in the real world. This seems like someone who really lived online. When you start doing like online dating simulators with like furry characters, you've gone pretty far down the like online rabbit hole, you know?
Yeah, and people, young men especially, but people in general, that I think seek that path, that seek out that just bizarre, weird, otherworldly experience. Like, okay, like you said, the dating simulators with the AI, whether it's free or not, it is, it is, let's just say, unsatisfactory behavior. It is below par. You are subpar. You are falling into the trap of degeneracy that they have set for you. They all want us to be at home, and they all want us to be fat and happy and just content with the world. And guess what? You're going to go crank it in your bedroom and not get married. And guess what? Hey, okay, well, this guy's not having kids. We got 50 H-1B visas to fill his spot, that any spot that he could ever take. We have these immigrants coming in to save the day. Um, but it speaks, I think, to a spiritual decay of America. We are a broken people, products of a broken society, and it seems that very few men like you, I, and our little mutual group here, very few men are rising above. I'm hopeful because I'm seeing more people kind of wake up and smell the coffee. But do you think that is more than just left versus right, or do you think there's something deeper there? Have you ever thought about spiritual warfare or anything like that?
Yes, I would say it's so much more than a culture war, as I would sing.
Yes,
But
you
yeah,
would.
to
Yes,
quote
you would.
myself, yeah, no, I yes, I do think that after a certain point, if you spend enough time, kind of, or even energy, I don't even know if it's time. I feel like I sort of speed ran politics. Now people would say like, oh, that means that you don't know enough. And there's listen, I'm not the most well versed person. I'm not a historian. I don't have any initials after my name, but yes, once you get to a certain threshold, I think of like looking into this stuff, you kind of realize like it's this whole like the left versus right paradigm thing or whatever is not the battle of the day. And yeah, to your point, I actually think I back the camera up even further. I think this whole thing is like a seed war. I think all of it is like a genetic seed war. I think there is to your point. I mean, if you sit home and like crank it in your room and watch furry videos, or even if you just watch like standard
Yeah.
uh, stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, that is some potent life energy that needed to be generated for you in like your the essence of you, and now your seed is being spent on digitized odd fiction as opposed to procreation, which is natural, which will generate more of you into existence. They want that not to occur. They want people to not be procreating and making more holistic families. You know, cohesive, holistic families that in turn create cohesive societies, which don't need the materialism, the capitalism, the things like this. We we're 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 I feel like we're perpetually getting goaded into being trapped in this system of sort of like digitized opulence constantly in order to keep us sort of stuck down like a fly that lands on the trap and then it's stuck and it like cannot buzz away anymore. We keep just getting gooped down with like the porn, the junk food, the constant react. I remember, and I know this is like way out of the realm of like dissident politics, but
You're
when
good. Let her rip.
I just rip ass. No, but when Bo Burnham when Bo Burnham did his like inside thing, and then he had this one scene where he was like watching some sort of thing, and then he did like a reaction to himself, and then a reaction to the reaction, then a reaction to like it's just you can sit there glued to your phone like all day in your whole life and everything, but I think that's sort of what they're counting on. Everything being sort of immediate dopamine hit pleasure type stuff as opposed to this is why I really respect like Eric Orwell or like frankly the Patriot Front guys or the Amish. I know those aren't all mutually exclusive or like similar people, but people that are out here like doing it. You know what I mean? People that are out here like on the boots on the ground doing it. And there's like I find that to be commendable, and I think that is exactly what they don't want. They want people saying like, "Oh, are you a fan of AOC or what about Nancy Pelosi's stock trades?" Like that is corrupt and it's bad, but like it doesn't materially affect my life. I don't really care. I just want to not be surrounded by everybody from everywhere in unlimited quantities and live in an economic zone that is not a country. And they want people to not notice that. They want us to just watch football or do whatever the fuck. And like, I mean, not to self plug, but like, I had a lot of these scenes in my. I did a music video last month for this song called "Fake World" that I did, and it's
Dude,
just
that
yeah,
was well done.
oh, thank you. Like my steak. I'm not fucking around, but it was yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I showed a lot of that type of stuff like the sports gambling, the like obviously the like the OnlyFans culture, like the whatever, just like any stupid thing to keep you plugged into the matrix. I mean, not to sound corny about it, plugged into the matrix and not noticing that in the macro all of the trends are going this way. You know what I mean? They're all going down and to the right. Like not good. So we have to start noticing that and pretending like everything is just some sort of stupid left for like look at the UK. Like the UK is just cooked. I mean, not only who's running the place, like Sadiq Khan and all these like random um, mayors of London and prime ministers of the country and all this. Like, there's, I mean, people don't want to admit it. People want to like pretend like it's not occurring. But I just feel like I'm living in a world of like primarily people who are just going along to get along. And there's very, very few people who've just stopped to go, the wind is blowing in a very disadvantageous direction to people like me in my future. And like this, I don't think this can continue like this. And for me to still be like optimistic about how things are going, so we're going to need to make some changes. So they want
Yeah.
people to not have that realization as much as possible.
Dude, no, you touched on a lot there, but I'm vibing with it all. That was very good. But you mentioned uh, noticing once we start noticing these things, and as you're aware and I'm aware, noticing is the first step, guys. Just start to notice the world around you and look at it objectively. And I'm gonna self plug a little bit here too. If you guys tune in, sub to the channel, you will actually see me be having these as they're labeled. I don't want to put words in their mouths, but you will see me having some guests on that would be considered pro-white movement um, leaders and cohorts in the future. So just keep your I'm not going to name any names yet, but just keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled. I want to make good content for you guys. And speaking about that, while we're talking, because dude, Dan, I'm having an awesome time vibing out. I'm gonna pull up your X page while we talk here a little more. But
Which one of her pages? The OnlyFans? No. Oh,
no, no,
my X page, not my ex's page. Sorry about that. Anyway,
no,
as you were.
you're
Sorry.
you're good, you're good. And
Cool.
if you guys haven't been able to tell yet, my good friend Dan here, he is a funny fella. He is, and it is always a pleasure getting to talk to you. So let's do a quick profile overview. So we have Dan Bauer,
No.
singer songwriter, etc. I guess this is the etc. part. Multi
Yeah.
instrumentalist, singer songwriter, and producer, creator, production. Okay, now I've wondered what this means. Am I like normie coded for not knowing what orange pilled means?
Yeah, dude, you probably still think that fucking Stephen Colbert's funny. No, I'm just joking. Like fucking no, like no, I'm just joking. No, orange pilled. Yeah, it means like now. I will be honest. I'm sort of pivoting on this stance. Well, I mean, not really, but
You're all right.
I was really into Bitcoin for a while. This is kind of what got
Oh,
this
okay.
this is kind of what got me down the rabbit hole. But then I sit there and I'm like, well, who's really in this space? The Mark Andreessens of the world. Is this really the people that I should be trusting? But regardless, it when I realized the money was fake, everything kind of followed. So I still have a special place in my heart for Bitcoin, for making me realize like I had to look into the Federal Reserve and central
Oh
banking and
yeah.
blah blah blah. So like that kind of got the ball rolling. So, and I made like a big video essay about Bitcoin a while ago, so that was kind of my thing too. But yeah,
Is that on your YouTube channel?
it's on my YouTube. If you go to my highlights page though on Twitter, if you go there, that's pretty much where all my stuff is. Like my main creations, yeah, that's the fake world video, and then I did the my journey so far. That's like an hour long rampage about like
That one
liter.
is just so awesome. Anyway, my
Yeah,
journey
yeah,
so far. Dude, is this the one you touch on your childhood in the beginning?
yeah, yeah. I go through the whole friggin'
Dude,
journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, have you ever thought into and I don't think that I have audio fed through. Can you hear that?
I think it's no, I can't. But
Okay.
it's
So
whatever.
Dan here, we're just gonna skip through here. Dan set this up very well. Have you ever considered cinematography?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I directed all my own music videos, and even the fake world video, like, I edited that. I did all the green screen shit, like, I do all that. Like, so, yeah, I actually want, I mean, this is like a real, we're getting in early, you're buying Bitcoin at a penny right now. I
We're
want to
buying
try,
Bitcoin in a penny. Yes.
by having this conversation. But yeah, I would love to get into film if the old budget allowed. At some point, I actually have this one idea for a film that I really want to make, like a full feature film that I want to direct and write and edit and shit. So I'll probably do that at some point. Ironically, you know what's kind of funny is we're looking at the World War II video right now. That video cost $0. It was my shittiest video. It's just a still camera and me just putting some effects on it. Uh, and ironically, that's the one that has like freaking over 500,000 views or whatever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, because Jake Shields shared it, that was helpful. And Sam Parker shared it and some other shit. But like,
Dude,
I
right on.
yeah, it was pretty cool. It was funny actually. I got oh, thank you. Now I'm up to the lucky number 744.
744.
I'm almost at Barry Bonds, folks. But yeah, the I remember I was actually having a real tough day when that happened. I had some real like shit coworkers at one point that were trying to like it doesn't matter. But and then I got home and then I look and all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I'm sort of blowing up on X right now. And I was like, fuck them. Who cares what they have to say? It was pretty good. And then a friend that I was friends with for a while from like back home hadn't talked to in several years and just like randomly texted me out of the blue because I'm like, you know, you see something on Twitter, does it really matter? And then one of my friends like texted me for the first time in years. He's like, dude, congratulations, holy shit, that's so based. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks, man. So
That's
it was
awesome.
yeah, it was kind of cool to see. But anyway, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into a me glaze sesh. Although in
No,
fairness,
that's that's what we're here for. Like this, and this is also why I have guests on, right? I have guests on my show because I respect the people who I have on. I have at least somewhat of a oh nice. We got the what is that American History X clip. Sorry, I got distracted.
formerly
Um,
known as American History Twitter. No, I'm just fucking around. But anyway, yeah.
but dude, I respect the people that I have on, and friends help friends, and that's what I'm attempting to do here. Friends help friends. And okay, you do post a little bit of your YouTube content on here as well.
Well, I'll be honest, yeah, and yes. Now I only just keep my highlights tab for like my main shit, like
Yeah.
the long form documentaries I make, which I call Dan Bauer Rant Hour, and then the podcast episodes. I guess I haven't uploaded those to Twitter as much, just the music videos and whatever. But now on YouTube, I wanted to upload my World War II music video because
They wouldn't let
frankly,
you.
it wouldn't let me. It also wouldn't let me. It gave me a strike for uploading Culture War when I attempted to. I even did a censored version of it where I like blurred out some of like the more
Dude.
violent shots, and they wouldn't let me put it up. So that still lives there, and it kind of sucks because I'm like, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, who cares? I'm not trying to be selfish. At least like the message will resonate whether I'm the one to deliver it or not. Though I would like to be the one to measure or to deliver it to an extent because I feel that I've taken a bit of a leap. Now it's becoming more mainstream to talk about these things. But you got to understand, when I did the World War II video, that was like 2023. I was done with that music video in like August of 2023, and then I was going to a friend's wedding back home, and I was like, all right, I'll have to do this wedding first. I don't want to be the distraction of the whole thing, so fuck it. I'll release this thing the moment I get home. And the date of the wedding was October 7th, 2023. Like, and
Oh
so
my gosh.
I could just, so, and it was a music video about the World War II thing, and I was like, damn it. I'm like, I can't do it now because these people just got like slaughtered, and I'm going to seem like an asshole, and I'm not trying to be insensitive and whatever. And I didn't even really understand what was going on at the time, even though within like a day or something, I was like, how do they fucking hang out for 6 hours without? But anyway, like, and regardless, still, RIP to the victims and all that. But
Yeah, oh
I,
yeah.
but I was kind of ahead of it, I guess, a little bit. I feel like now there's going to be more and more people. Now there was like Mr. Bond and whoever people before me, trust me. But like, I feel like there's going to be a number of people now doing this and making like music in this sphere, and I'm like, fuck, it's not even going to seem like I was the first because most of my shit's not on YouTube because it was never allowed on YouTube. You know what I mean? But who cares? That's just kind of some petty personal shit. But yeah, you can find my stuff on Twitter, YouTube, Only Dan's, whatever, wherever I am.
Only
So
Dan's. Yeah,
just find
yeah,
my
dude.
shit. So.
So now I am going to have to hold on. I'm gonna try and switch back to the regular screen here. Okay. So I'm just being real with you. I will go ahead because I did see some Swazis on the one music video. I'm gonna edit that in post to where they're blurred out. I'm gonna try not to detract from your music video that was playing on screen there. Cause like, we got some time left here. We do.
Yeah.
Real quick. What do you think about YouTube censorship? Whenever you make a video, do you feel like you almost throttle yourself because you're trying to tiptoe around just speaking, just saying something?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really confounding. It's funny because back when I was like 15 years old, and I was like jerking off to tentacle porn and stuff. No, I'm fucking around. Like when I was like, way back in the day on the internet, you'd see like and not that I'm not trying to get disgusting or anything, but
Yeah.
like you'd see occasionally, like for whatever reason, there'd be like East Asian porn. I remember would always like censor different. It would like censor the genitals,
Different body parts,
and
yes.
I was like, isn't that odd? I was like, that's weird. And now I feel like we're having that experience as just creators on YouTube. I'm like, no, I'm not. I swear, I'm not even sticking a banana or tuna. I'm like, I'm just trying to talk about the fucking Middle East, and like,
Dude.
we're you know what I mean? We're like self throttling, and it's crazy. And I'm just like, yeah. So to your question, to your point, yeah, the self censorship that is sort of required to even be a participant on YouTube is stifling what I think would otherwise be a lot of very important, a lot of important conversations, and we're sort of stopping ourselves short of a lot of mainstream, sort of universal understandings about truths of the world. Like, it's so funny because the people that used to be foisted up all the time, the Joe Rogans or whoever who would say like, well, I don't think we should ban speech. I think the antidote to bad speech is more speech, not less speech, or whatever, not banning speech, stuff like that. Or like Jordan Peterson would be like, oh, you have to risk being wrong to give your ideas, bucko, and whatever.
Hey,
And
Bucko.
hey, bucko,
Dude, good.
my daughter fucked Andrew Tate, bucko. Maybe, allegedly. Who knows? I'm not sure.
Allegedly,
Sorry.
allegedly.
I'm not sure that's actually true, bucko. But anyway. and the other Tate at the same time, allegedly. No, I'm just fucking.
You have
I
to
just
clean your room.
he has to clean your womb. No, no, I'm fucking around.
Oh man.
But
Okay.
yeah, it was. But they want they kind of claim to want all this like speech and all this free speech and everything, and then you're like starting to come to like some forks in the road where you're like, I kind of have to address this, otherwise I feel like I'm being phony. Kind of like Charlie Kirk did recently, where he was like gathering all like the turning point chapter leaders in, and he's like, all right guys, I'm just gonna throw my hands up in the air. I just got gripe reward for the past like 6-7 years. Obviously no one's believing this stuff anymore. Okay, can we have a mea culpa? Can we just like I won't focus on this, but I still will talk about it. You know what I mean? Can we just come to that decision? And now he's not with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it's just
Yeah.
it's weird the precedent that I feel is like what message are they trying to what message is trying to be sent by constantly like flagging people for like opinions and speech and whatever. I'm like, it's weird that you're kind of making me worry about saying like, not you, but like the
Yeah.
royal you saying like, oh, and then it turns out that actually I think a lot of the people in America that are fan of what Israel is doing are like Jewish people, and I'm like, I shouldn't even say that word, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
just being analytical. I'm not adding any extra weight or malice or whatever to that. Like, and even just like conversations like that, ones that are centered around this topic, you can't talk about, or even some of the things you mentioned. You're having some guests that are pro white on. I mean, I don't try to label myself to really any degree or put myself in any camp or anything, but
Yeah.
I just, even just saying like, oh yeah, no, I'm pro white, like I'm for like what's going on in the white community, like hoping that we do well. That's totally fine, and that's literally what like the basis of like my culture war video was just like, hey, I'd like to make, imagine, like, I mean, what was that Childish Gambino thing, like This Is America, that blew up, like
Oh yeah.
Kendrick Lamar makes all these songs, Jay-Z, like whoever will make all these songs, and it's just this constant like gripe fest and airing of grievances, and like, even if they have a point or whatever to some extent, some of these people will talk, and they'll totally be allowed to get all of their grievances or whatever that they have to say about the state of their community in this country. They can say it all day, screaming from the mountaintops. And if like someone from say our sector decides to do the same, like me, I straight up get a strike on my YouTube channel. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, what? I
Yeah.
wasn't saying like, I wasn't saying fucking like, I don't have a white hood and a fucking robe on and shit like that. You know what I mean?
So
Like, it's
I
crazy.
think I think it's odd that like I could get up there and I could get up there and I could be let's say I'm East Asian and I say Asian lives matter or whatever it might be. Okay, people take it at its face value and they say, "Oh, that guy must like his people." That's cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
No, no, brush it off. Brush it off. Never heard that one before, but brush it off. But then, as soon as you hear someone say "white lives matter," or as soon as you hear someone say that phrase "pro-white," they automatically think, because they've been either brainwashed or they're pulling the strings, one or the two, whether you're a drone or whether you're one of the puppet masters, not to mix metaphors, but they automatically think that when you say pro white, you mean anti everybody else.
Yeah.
Now, I've tried to psychologize that, and it's almost led me to this path. So, if everyone else thinks that whenever I say pro white, do they all mean that when they say pro black or pro Asian? Like, did that Asian guy in the hypothetical from earlier, did he just, when he said, I'm pro Asian, does that mean he wants to eradicate everyone else and I'm just not privy to it? I don't think so, but
Yeah.
it's like
No.
it's odd that we are targeted into that category. Like we're automatically considered genocidal maniacs as soon as we say, "Hey, yeah, I like being white and I like living around my people." Like that automatically puts us in this hate camp. Those same people, dude, that we brought up that define hate speech, they're coming for us.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I think on its face, it's just categorically like nonsensical. Like, it is
Yes.
nonsense. It's not sensitive or sensible. Like, when the double standard is crazy, and I'm wondering like at what numerical threshold will we be when this sort of game is going to be extremely difficult to play anymore, because like I think a lot of the reason that people theorize that uh, our greatest ally was behind Charlie Kirk's whatever, this is
Yes,
why.
yeah, I've heard that alleged.
this character in a video game that I'm creating had this crazy thought where he said, "I think Charlie Kirk might have been whatever." So
Yeah.
anyway, in
He kept
that
rubbing his hands together too. What the hell?
in 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 that hypothetical universe,
Anyway, in your hypothetical.
in my hypothetical, the people that think that, they think now their premise is that, well, who still supports our greatest ally? Like, if it's not, like, it's definitely not the left. That's like half the country. They're out now. They do not support. That's out. So the left doesn't. Does the right? Well, not now. The mainstream, sort of the bowling with the bumpers on right, sort of
Yeah.
the containment right, big con, that type of thing. They have, but as of like say 2 years ago, that was like 90% of the right, you know?
Oh yeah.
And now the Fuenteses of the world and just, the Dan Bilzerians, Jake Shields, Sneakos, like the people, I'm not saying Sneakos on the right, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or necessarily any.
People talking about let's just say it. People talking about the JQ.
Yeah, yeah. Like this is no longer a fully disgraced, marginalized, toxic group of people.
Taboo.
Yeah, it's not as
Yeah.
taboo. It can't be. I mean, unless you're going to say that everybody analyzing the situation is like an extremist or needs to be put on a list, or the ADL needs to, like, they've been trying that, but like I think it's just emerging as too sensibly argued that it's not just derived out of hate. There's a lot of people just straight up curious about like the machinations of things. But anyway, if Charlie Kirk was sort of the guy containing, hold, he's like holding the line for the dam to break. You know what I
Hold,
mean?
brothers, hold.
Hold, don't you fucking mention
Hold.
don't mention that chart by fucking Mark Potok and the fucking SPLC. Don't
Don't do
mention
it.
it. Yeah, like he's like holding the line. Now, if he went, just numerically, just number wise, say 50% of the country was out, like I said, the Dems, they're all out.
Yeah.
On like all, I mean, fine, 49%. There might be a
Say,
few, but like
yeah. Say
they're
say
out.
it.
They're out. The Nick Fuentes and the right of him type, you know what I mean? I'm not saying him personally, but like the Groiper types, you know what I mean?
Groiper types,
They're
JQ types, whatever
yeah,
types.
they're not supporting them anymore. And now they were like, well, we still have the MAGA base. We still have the MAGA base. It's like, but the MAGA base, the MAGA leader is like 80 years old. And who else in this space is able to hold the water? There's like the Tim Pools of the world, who also gets invited to these like Chatham House rule meetings with fucking Netanyahu. And it's like, all right, well, people know that he's not credible. He's like a young voice on the right. The Daily, the Israeli Wire people, I mean, let's be real, everyone already, that game is sort of over. And now, and then there was the Charlie Kirks of the world, like Charlie Kirk. Now, Charlie Kirk, as we all know, had been asking a lot of like difficult questions that used to be reserved for like 4chan forums, you know what I mean? And now
The
all of
last
us,
couple of months, yeah.
yeah, and now all of a sudden he's kaput. So the same thing, the same kind of logic applies here, where people would say, okay, well, at what point can we keep saying this is our greatest ally and like actually convince people of like the large swath of America? How long could we actually keep that ruse going if you look to your left and look to your right and say, I don't really know anyone who fits the profile of someone who supports this in my life? And by the same token, I'm thinking this with the white thing. I'm like, how long are they going to be, like, how long is this going to go on where we are still always the oppressors or the villains or the ones holding everyone else back or hoarding all the resources and power or whatever? It's like, how long is that narrative even sustainable, to be honest? Like,
Um, so far, it's working pretty damn good for them.
which is shocking, because like I look around and I'm like, I go to the mall, I go to Sam's Club, I go wherever, and I'm like,
Yeah.
first of all, we've already lost like what was, to say like, oh, this is like a white country. It's like, all right, well, it's not really anymore, and I don't mean like exclusively 100.0%, but I
Correct.
mean like what it was for like most of its time here. And
Correct.
it, like, even just like I said, get me back to like a reasonable demographic reality. But like for people to think that this is going to do anything than turn into Brazil, a South Africa, a something like this, like a Rhodesia turning into, Zimbabwe. If people think it's going to be anything other than something like that, I'm like, dude, you're just fucking, you're, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't think you're
Yeah.
thinking. I think you're like purposefully being obtuse here. Like, and me,
Exactly.
and me being someone who's of that crowd. I mentioned this one time on the pod. I always think I'm like, you ever seen Apocalypto with everyone's favorite anti-Semite Mel Gibson? No, I'm just fucking around, but
Oh no,
directed by.
no.
I'm just fucking
I
around,
should check it
but
out.
he,
Apocalypto.
he directed it, but
Okay.
it came out in like 2006 or something. But he anyway, it's basically a story about like the Native Americans. Spoiler alert. At the way fucking end, like I'm not trying to ruin the whole thing, but like
Oh, dude,
it's
if they haven't watched it by now, that's on them. Go on.
Oh, I meant for you mostly, but yeah, fuck them.
Whatever.
But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like I was trying to spare you. I couldn't give a fuck less about your stupid fucking audience. No, but anyway, so they're sitting. I'm just totally
He
joking.
loves
So,
you guys. Don't
I'm,
worry.
I'm totally. I fantasize about you guys. Sorry, but so it's like these Native Americans and they're going off like spearing each
Oh.
other, going in some intra Native American type battle, right? And then at the way end of the movie, in like the last like 30 seconds, they're having their little sparring tribe issues or whatever. Then they look out in the horizon and they see these fucking European ass boats, and they're like, brother, fuck our differences. You know what I mean? They're like, we got something afoot, you know? And I imagine if I was like a Native American and I call them like North American natives, whatever, because there wasn't an America.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
you mean Indians, but feather, not
indigenous,
dot.
indigenous
Yeah.
peoples, whatever. You
Oh,
know what I
don't
mean?
ever say that on this podcast.
Okay, sorry, Indians.
Okay, so
Sure.
you're trying
Sorry.
to live your perspective through them. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to use the wrong term. But anyway, like so the Indians, whoever. So if they were here and people started to try to tell them, hey, you guys need to be more accommodating, you need to be more welcoming, you need to just stop with this whole like Indian nativism type thing. You know what I mean? Like if they kept like I wonder in like 1760 if these arguments still worked. Like
Hmm.
they at one point were the native people, and if they got like guilted into like accepting the whites that came over and stuff, at a certain point. Now, I'm not saying this is the same. It was the same thing. I'm sure there was a lot more like straight up bloody conquest and all that. But to be sort of guilted into accepting your replacement, I feel is a very weird like dynamic. And we I don't know if it's fully unique this time in history. I guess I'd have to do more guessing, but the Indians, like if they were sitting there and it was when they were like 90% of the people on this landmass, I'm sure they had nothing to worry about. But now, once they start like the scale starts tipping the other way, it would have been totally reasonable for them to start like being like, "Hey, what the fuck gives here? Are we losing our land or are we not?" That this is the fundamental question here, and like everyone but us can ask that. You know what I mean? Everyone's allowed to ask that, except
I
it's
think
very interesting.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So I've thought about what is it going to take for white people to say enough's enough. Now, this isn't me blackpilling. This isn't me trying to say, "Hey guys, give up now because it's not worth it." Here's what I'm saying, and this is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, but I've been tiptoeing around it. White people on a whole, this is one potential future. White people as a whole will not stand up and say, enough's enough. We are sick of this until we are already a minority in our own country. I mean, dude, look over at England recently. They've had all kinds of protests and marches, etc. But it wasn't until they were a minority in their own country that they said, well, wait a minute. Hey, everything that those guys like Adam and Dan and everyone else, everything that they were saying is now happening. Well, let's act right now. We got to be like how Dan mentioned earlier. We got to be like those Patriot Front guys, and we have to be like Eric Orwell, known as Arval on Twitter, and maybe start a few return to the land movements or something similar. We need to watch that case very closely to look at those legal battles that he will inevitably face, to see the outcomes and see what we can achieve in our own states. We need to have these things in place for that inevitable, hey, we're the minority now, and guess what? Every time, you even mentioned this too, dude, every time we become a minority in our own country, like you said, Rhodesia, look at South Africa, every time, look at Haiti, every time we become a minority in our own country, we get either cannibalized or we get run out or we get killed in another gruesome, horrific way, or we get treated like second class citizens. And those non-whites out there who are like, well, yeah, get used to it because we're treated like second-class citizens. Dude, you miss me with that, because guess what? Either it's not true today. Sorry, guys. We're living in 2025. We're living in the present. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. What can we do right now to make a change? And yeah, Dan, dude, you were spitting some serious fire today. Did you see I had to mute my mic when you were doing the Jordan Peterson impersonation? I had to mute it because I
Apologies.
kept laughing afterwards.
Sorry, man. Sorry. I'll never do it again.
No,
But
please
yeah,
do,
dude.
please. It was great.
Well, dude, now I feel bad. I ruined the whole vibe using the forbidden terminology in the last minute there.
Indigenous
But it is,
peoples.
I
Oh yeah,
didn't mean to
dude.
say it.
Did
I didn't mean
you?
to say it.
I
I didn't mean
tried
to
to
say
be
it.
serious. I tried to be
Oh,
serious.
you're
Like,
good, dude.
no, dude, you can't say that here. Don't you say that mess on my thing, Dan.
My Hero podcast. But yeah, dude, nah, for sure. I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And yeah, people I think just aren't necessarily like. I think most people aren't very forward thinking. Like
Yes.
to they're not willing to look at like the reasonable horizon ahead. You know, like it's this isn't. And the thing is, everyone's like, oh well, you were saying blackpilling earlier. Like, oh, it's either you're just blackpilling or you're just being like neurotic or getting carried away or oh please like anything like that would ever happen. I'm like, isn't London like 30 something percent white at this point?
History rhymes, dude.
I'm like, yeah, but well, history rhymes, and I'm also wondering too. This is sort of a unique situation. Like, history rhymes. There, I don't even know what is the precedent for this because, like, if like the only really like like healthy white majority countries left are ones in like Eastern Europe that, frankly, most of the people don't even speak primarily English. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Chechnya or shit like that, or like maybe I don't even know Chechnya as a country, but like you know. Baltic states, shit like that. Like that in Poland and Hungary and whatever. Like, okay, some Eastern Bloc states, yeah, sure, are still retaining themselves, but like, I mean, they've had big issues going on in Australia. Like, I don't even need to talk about fucking Canada. I think we're very
Yeah,
aware of
dude.
what's going on over there. Like Germany,
Mm.
there's France, big problems, like big problems going on in there. There's even like forums for like Japanese tourists who have visited France, who Paris, who've been like appalled at how much their like fantasy got ruined by like the reality on the ground. It's crazy, and I don't know if there's ever been a situation like this where we can just afford to be like, well, okay, all right, okay, so fine. So we lost America. It's no longer, you know,
Oh,
we're no longer running America. We lost Canada. We lost Australia. And we lost the UK. All right, so Dublin is like 40%, you know, where, okay, so like, at what point are you like, all right, we're sort of fucking running out of spot? It's like 100 years ago, we were like 30% of the like global population. Now we're like, what, 7 or 8? It's like,
7 or 8. Yeah.
all right, at what point do we sit here and say like, okay, like this is fucking a problem, you know what I mean? Like it's sort of an issue, and yeah, to act this, which to I guess your earlier commentary, and I'll try to kind of wrap it up, is this isn't necessarily saying, or it's really not at all saying like, and that means I'm about to do XYZ violent thing or I'm plotting whatever.
Correct.
Like, no, it just means I want to have an adult conversation and try to start plotting the path forward for people of my ilk, as has been my entire adult life's reality for every other group. You know what I mean? Like they've seemed to vocalize their issues quite well. And the issue at play here is like existential in nature. It's like, do we or don't we have any homelands in the globe? Increasingly, we don't. And I'm like, all right then, let's fucking discuss that. It should be allowed, and it is allowed. And here we are, a mainstream dissident, talking about it.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Now, do you want to do any more shameless plugging before we go? I'd appreciate it if you did. Otherwise, I'll do it for you.
I'll just be real quick, I guess, with it. Yeah,
Please.
like so. I'll just mention like when I say I put out all these albums and stuff like that, I put them out. Like I literally, I play all my fucking instruments on
Self-made.
them. Yeah, I play all the instruments on them. Like I produce them myself. I write all the songs myself. I do it all. So I mean, aside from the audio engineering professionally, but I still oversee that. Yeah, and all the music videos I direct. I edit almost all of them too. So like, if you're gonna check my stuff out, just know that it's like pretty holistic. I guess it's like from me. I always find it ridiculous when someone's like, "Oh, I put an album out," like you literally didn't even play any instruments on it or produce it, or you just kind of just sang or something. I'm like, all right, that's cool, but like, I try to do like all of it in a way. So, yeah, I got a lot of stuff up there. Check me out on YouTube for most of my music videos, and then for some of my more risque ones, check out my X feed,
Yes.
the highlights tab, especially is where you're gonna find a lot of the main content. And then yeah, I'm just like on Spotify and whatever else myself. My most recent album, "A Man of God Through Bread and Circus," came out on 420, bro. So you can check that one
Uh,
out. So you can check that one out too. So, and it runs start to back continually, no pauses at all. And the last track, by the way, the final things I'll say, the last track, "We Go Up," is actually a song that I never really talked about this before. It's one that I wrote while I was going through a period of transition myself, where I was sort of losing some friends over my dissident views. And
uh,
it's a song about like marching forward in the face of discomfort and social alienation that will come from being truthful, but you just have to be truthful anyway, you know? And I feel like it's probably apropos for a lot of people in this audience. If anyone
amen.
wanted to check that out, it's the last track on my recent album. So, anyway.
Amen, dude. Amen. And like I said, guys, it's going to be all linked down in the description. And yeah, without further ado, I will close out here. And again, it was great having you on, Dan. I'll link all his stuff. Guys, thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Mainstream Dissident. My name is Adam. I've been your host. Until next time.